Well, it's Omobola Stephen. We focus on personal development and self-improvement topics. We occasion professionals and thought leaders who are adept at these topics. In this season's episodes, we will be focusing on parenting and family dynamics, as we have come to realize the importance of embracing personal development and self-improvement in the area of parenting and family dynamics in this ever-dynamic times that we are in. Today, I have Janice Robinson-Celeste, who is the publisher of Successful Black Parenting magazine, the first national magazine for Black parents in the US. She's a parenting expert and an award-winning children book author. She also hosts a podcast titled the Back Talk Podcast. We will be talking on supportive and interactive parenting on the show today. Good to have you, Janice, and
Thank
thanks for
you.
coming to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Glad to have you and looking forward to a great time as we explore on this important topic. I know you are a parenting expert, and my audience are looking forward to your insight indeed. So, how can we begin to create a stimulating environment for our kids, especially in their early childhood?
Well, in early childhood, well, first of all, it starts before you even have the baby while you're pregnant. Like you want to start planning.
Mhm.
But depending on the age of the child, what you want to do is have them raise critical thinkers. You want them to be able to figure things out. So, your job as a parent, your first job as a parent, is to make sure that they're safe, of course. And that's not always easy to do depending on where you're living, right? But your job is to make them at least feel safe because you can't learn if you're not in a safe space. You can't, you're distracted. Second of all, you want to stimulate their minds to problem solve. I always tell parents that another important job that you have is to raise your kids, not at necessarily at early childhood level, but you start there so that they can live without you eventually. You never know when they have to go visit grandma, then they have to do some things, but you want to raise them as independently as possible. So you're teaching them things even from such a young age. They can do things like sort socks, and that helps teach them colors, and it helps to teach them that what goes together and what doesn't go together. So you're doing laundry, and you say, okay, here are all the socks. We're gonna sort them, the green from the red. So we're going to do that. As they start to get older, there are things that you can do with them. For instance, bring your kids into the kitchen to help you cook. You know, if you're using measuring cups and spoons, that's a great way to start teaching them fractions at even a young age because they can understand a half of something, right? And they don't know it's a fraction, but eventually they will. They will. So now they have the foundation of that in their mind. But you're starting to teach them things they're going to need in school as well as critical thinking when you ask them questions. So, we have kids, they ask you questions. And when they get about 3 years old, they start saying, why? Why? And everything they ask and you answer and they'll say, why? And you'll answer them again and they'll say, why? So then you reverse it and you ask them why. Why do you think this is? And let's see what their answer is. And then you can push it some more. So, and why do you think that is? And they say, I don't know. That's when you come in and say, well, have you ever thought about this? And we just start asking them questions and you start to build little critical thinkers who can think for themselves. And that way they can become leaders and not followers when they grow up because they can think. They can think, and ask questions. So that's really important.
So absolutely, I very important for us to create a stimulating environment. Really, but when it comes to the school system, do you think they are also doing enough?
It depends on the school systems. There are different ones. I mean, here we have Montessori, we have Head Start daycares, those kind of things. And they try to provide a stimulating environment for their child. But you know what? Children really don't need much. Really, yeah. I mean, think of it as a parent. I had purchased when my kids were younger, the nicest toys that I thought I get for them, and they ended up playing with the box, right? The box the toy came in. They really don't need much. They can go outside and find stuff out in the yard or wherever they're living. They don't need much to be stimulated. It's mainly who they're with and that they're spending time with them and dedicated time with them. We're not on our phones while this is their time and we're talking to them. We're having conversations. There's one viral video on the internet that I absolutely love. And it's just a dad. I believe he's a dad. He could be not. He could be someone else, but it looked like the dad and the baby was just starting to learn language, and he wasn't really speaking. He was talking baby talk, and they were just sitting back looking at television, and the baby would go, no, blah 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 blah, blah. And he would go, oh yeah, is that right? And the baby would go, blah, 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 blah. He said, yeah, I know, me too. And the baby, blah, 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 baby talk, blah 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 blah. And they go, me too. And they were so involved in the conversation with one another. And that helps the baby to learn language. Like they're having a conversation even though the baby's talking gibberish. You know, they're not saying anything really. But it's the way they're talking and how they're conversing and that time spent together. So just being there with your child and being attentive and interacting is everything. It's not about toys. It's not about the paint on the wall, the pictures on the wall. It's about you as a parent.
Now, Janice, can we have a responsive parenting strategies, especially for different situations?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it definitely by different age groups. There's you need to be responsive as a parent, period, as a parent altogether. But you definitely it depends on what situation you're in, all the different age groups, and you respond accordingly. Don't ever think because kids are young they don't get it or they don't understand. And one thing I love about children and a lot of parents get wrong is that they think they're too young to know what you're going through. And so you think you can just hide things from them by not like for instance, if you're just say you're upset, something simple as that, and the child you think, oh, they don't know. They don't know. They're too young. You'd be surprised what they can pick up on. And they pick up on even every down to your energy, how you are talking, how you're looking, even if you're trying to hide it. So you always have to be, don't underestimate the kids is my bottom line. And you always should be responsive as a parent from the time you're young to the time till they're even in their teen years. I mean, I have adult children now, and I still consider myself a responsive parent. You have to be there. You have to pay attention. You need to know, what your child is going through. You need to know, just pay attention, and so that you can be a responsible parent.
Yes, you said pay attention, but really,
Hmm.
it's all obvious that we ever in a busy world,
Yeah.
parents are just trying to catch up.
Hmm.
But parenting involves the totality of who we are as a parent, and but it's really a struggle, meeting the needs of our
Absolutely.
children. So, what are the options that are available when we're unable to meet the needs of these children? Because sometimes this can happen.
Oh, you mean like when you're working and you have to work. Some people work two, three jobs, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, in
Hmm.
terms of, trying to meet the overall needs of the child needs an emotional support, need
Right.
financial support, uh, need relational support,
Yeah.
aside the educational system. We're talking about the family dynamics now. Communication is there. So how can we begin to find other options? Because sometimes these children find it difficult to communicate their deepest feelings, especially when they are in their teenage years.
Right. Well, that's a couple of things there. So, we depend on our village, right? Whoever is around us, whether it's the father, it's the sister, it's the auntie, whoever you can depend on. If you have to work and do more than one job, um, those are the people that you kind of lean on to help be responsive with a child. And you bring them into, your world. Hopefully they are involved. A lot of times in the United States, especially, we have a lot of single black moms. We don't have that village a lot of times. You're lucky if you do. I was lucky to have cousins who helped me. I had all kinds of people helping me because I went to school when my children were younger. I had to work when my children were younger, but I still found time to be with them. There was one time I even had to take my child to school with me because I went to school at night and I didn't have anyone to watch her. So I believe 100% of leaning in onto your family members and whoever it is that can help you to make sure that the child has what they needs and to meet their needs.
All right. Okay. So, because your expertise also cover the culturally responsive strategies. You provide that to Black and marginalized communities. Uh, and you speak directly to this set of people, if I'm right. So
Mhm.
what have you found out in terms of parenting styles and also the challenges that they come across?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a whole culture here, Black culture. When we say Black in America, we don't mean skin color, we mean our culture. Even though we were part of the diaspora, coming from Africa here and this whole slave culture, dealing with white supremacy here, ongoing still today, we came together and what we did was we made lemonade out of lemons that they threw at us. So we had to do the best we could, and we have everything from our own sayings, our way of talking, the way we even walk, dance, get together. When we get together, our get-togethers are different. Like our barbecues, we all have this same knowledge. Like when we see each other, we can relate because we know we can give a nod and we know what that means. We have the things we do. It's just all encompassing of who we are. And one of the reasons I started the magazine was way back in the 90s. We were in print nationwide, and you didn't see at that time any Black babies on the covers, rarely in the pages of regular general parenting magazines. Now they're doing way better with that, but they still don't always address things like our health issues. In the United States, our
Mm.
maternal mortality rates are three times that for the most educated Black woman, of three times more than a non educated white woman. And the main reason for that is doctors don't listen to us when we say we're having problems or in pain. They just assume we want drugs because of stereotypes that have been perpetuated in our society. And it doesn't matter if that woman has a doctorate degree. It happened to Serena Williams, the tennis player, famous tennis player. She had issue with blood clots in her lungs, and she felt it coming on right after she had the baby, and she tried to tell the nurses what her issue was because she has dealt with this before, and they ignored her over and over again until she came out to the nurses station and banged on the desk and told them to get her doctor, and that saved her life. So we have some issues here in the United States, but our culture is ingrained everything from how to do our hair that's not in general parenting magazines to our health issues, to how we celebrate. Everything is in there. When we talk about parenting specifically, is how we had to learn to raise our children. And it's been passed down from generation to generation because when my ancestors were there, and I'm talking as recent as my great grandmother, who was born at what was supposed to be the end of slavery, but really wasn't, she lived to be 112 years old, and I got to meet her before she died in the 70s. They had a different way of keeping us safe, and that even down to what we call spankings. Like we don't do that anymore, hopefully, but they spanked us because if they didn't do it and the slave master did it, we could be beat to death. So to keep us in line, they would spank us. And now today we talk about that because there's still that going on, and we talk about how to do gentle parenting so you don't have to spank your child, and how we evolve because now it's illegal, right? If you you'll get in trouble if you spank your child. So we can't do that. So how things have evolved over time, we talk about that. We talk about pride, cultural pride, because in our country specifically, they have tried to keep like our advancements and achievements, and they still are because they're banning books right now that are Black books, and they're banning Black history right now in our country. But they have always, and I'm gonna say always now because it's going on right as I speak, tried to keep from us our greatness of things we have achieved, things we've contributed to our country. And part of what we do with our magazine is we bring that out and we say, hey, we are great. We're great people. We came from great people. They only brought over from Africa the ones that could survive the Middle Passage. So those were the strongest, the healthiest, the best that they could find. And they brought them here to the United States to do the hard work. Because if you were sickly or frail or small, you wouldn't have made it across the ocean. And those are the ones that got fed to the sharks, unfortunately. So we make sure that history is told, that we came from these great people, and you can't take that from us or our children. And we're going to raise them with that greatness and that crown upon their head. And so some people don't understand that, but we still live with those aggressions here, and we live with those microaggressions. So we have to teach our children to be resilient, right, in the United States, because they're going to face these challenges from people. They face vitriol sometimes. Sometimes they face just people who are mad about nothing, really, but they're just angry. And, not everyone's like that, but there's a lot. And they face it online. Right now, we're having a problem with Black children being depressed as teens because of some of the racism that they find online, and it's a lot of it online. So screen time, all of those things have a different message when it's coming to Black kids from us, because we have to deal with that. So there's things in our culture that just aren't the way it should be. It's not rosy, unfortunately, or rosy. We try to keep a positive spin on it. And of course, a lot of the things we talk about are still general parenting that anybody can do. And I always say, anyone can learn from reading our publication. It's all online now, it's not in print anymore. You can learn whether you're white, black, brown, green, it doesn't matter. You can learn about our culture, you're welcome in, and then come on and check us out.
All right. That's so deep.
Yeah, it is.
Jane, thanks for sharing that. But really, do you think the Black community, do you think they are a marginalized community?
Do I see them as what?
As a marginalized community?
Oh, absolutely, and they're being pushed now, even more so. I don't know if you know the politics that's going on in America right now, but it's a lot of oppression going on, and it's
Mm.
starting. It started with immigrants here and being pushed out right now. Mostly brown immigrants, black and brown immigrants, more so the brown immigrants first, and they're working on that. The next step is us, because we see it already. We've seen some horrible things happen here, and it's not just immigrants. We have a saying that ever since we walked off the plantation, some people have been mad. And I'm not talking about, it's not all people. I'm talking, when I say that, I'm talking about the racist people that are out there. And they're all different cultures that are racist. I've seen what they call a Proud Boy, which is a white supremacist group. The head of it was Latino. I'm like, how? How are you so against, black people and sometimes Jews, and they're just very hateful people. And then at the other hand, you have all of these other people who are white and from other races who are our allies, who are helping right now. They're out marching, and we have marches going on right now. We have protests. We just had a No Kings protest where 700 million people came out to protest our government, our administration. So there's a lot going on right now where they're trying to regress instead of move into the future. We're regressing into the past. And these are things that we have to talk about with our children. We have to talk about, before that, where it was starting to build, we had to talk about how to handle being stopped by the police so that you can come home, because they were killing black people for no reason, just shooting them. And so you get stopped for a traffic violation, you don't know if you're going to make it home that night. So we have to talk to our teenage drivers about how to talk to police, what to do. Put your hands up here, 10 and 2. Put your registration and driver's license on the dashboard, and don't move. There's a different talk than most people here. Like I know white parents here who don't have to do that. So we have a lot going on in the United States, and right now, and I'm just going to say this, I don't see it getting better before it gets worse. And that's just because of our government at this point.
All right. So, don't you think the parents need to begin to seek the right information or knowledge about the way they need to begin to parent their children? You talked a lot about these dynamic times and the changes that is happening, not just in the US, but even in the world general. It's
In
really a
the world
dicey
in general?
situation that we're confronted with. So,
Well,
what is the importance of getting the right information and knowledge in parenting our kids the right way? Because this seems to be mind-boggling.
so parenting around the world, you mean?
Yes, yes, just general parenting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just the main thing, like I said, far as general parenting, is we want to raise healthy, well-rounded children any way that we can, right? We want to make sure. And so, what we do is we put out information through research, demographics, statistics, and those demographics that are us from all over the world, different demographics, depending on what we are doing and where we're getting it from. And we tell you what the best practices are, and it's up to the parent to pick and choose what they want to take from that. We do not tell parents how to parent. We let them choose what they want to take from the research, and then they customize it to their family life, because every family dynamic is different. Every place you live is different. Every city, every state, every country is different. So we give you what's science based, what they say. For instance, they were the new research, which we already knew, was that parents are tired, right? We knew parents are tired and burned out, that we didn't need a whole scientific study for that. But we're going to tell you what they said, and then we're going to give you self care tips that you can do, and we're going to give you different ones from the low end to the high end, because not everybody can afford to go to the spa. Like, that would be ridiculous. But that's something I might read in a regular parenting magazine. Here we are in the United States, we're living paycheck to paycheck. We dang sure can't do anything like that. So what else can we do to try to take a second to get a breath so that we can take care of ourselves? Because it's the whole the science is that basically the whole thing where you got to put your oxygen mask on first, or you can't help anybody else. If you're not okay, you how you gonna help your family if you're not okay? We need you to be there. So that looks different in different parts of the world and where you come from. So we're going to just tell you what the science says, and then we're going to tell you some things that you can do, but you can also, teach us. We always tell people, come write an article for us. Come and tell us what you do. So we have parents writing articles too, but we ask them to include those demographic statistics and do the research.
Absolutely. Can you tell us more about your magazine, your parenting magazine? Let's talk a bit about it. What are the important takeaways? You know, you talked about the motivation behind, setting up this publishing outfit. So far, we want to learn more a bit about that, and also learn more how we can connect. And if you have any other important information you think is going to add value to the audience, you can share if you have any.
Thank you. Well, it's a free publication online to readers. We charge the advertisers, so we keep it free that way. And
Okay.
we have different columns. One of the things that we encourage is our dads to be always involved. So we have a dedicated dad column. We have the health column. We have a beauty column for moms, because we want to make sure you look good. We have everything from reading, the books that are coming out. We have a book club. So we recommend the newest books that are well done, because they have to send me the book. I have to make sure it's good quality, because I'm not going to recommend anything that looks like it was made in the kitchen somewhere. But I want to make sure that they can compete with the biggest publishers too. So we have those sort of things. We have a hookup section where we take Black businesses who have products for families and kids, and we let you know. We're about to put out our new Christmas guide. It's all Black. Like, all these companies are owned by Black people, which is hard to find sometimes. We most mainly do dolls, right? So we're trying to make sure that we show everybody that, this company exists. Did you know they make puzzles and they're Black owned? So we can support
Mhm.
our own. And the reason I do that is because, and I can only talk about the United States, but in the United States, less than 1% of Black businesses are fully funded. Fully funded, less than one by venture capital, right? And then the banks, I think it's less than 10% will fully fund them what they need. So they're set up with just enough money to fail. So we have to support our own communities. And so that's how I do it. And I want people to know there's a Black face behind this, and we need to support them, because otherwise they might not be here next year. So
All
that's
right,
some
good
things
to know.
about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that
Hmm.
information. Let's have your website, social media handles. That's optional. If you
Sure.
can, you can.
Sure. It's successfulblackparenting.com. Don't forget the successfulblackparenting.com. We had to trademark it with successful or another name, because you can't trademark Black parenting. And then on social media, we're at successful Black parenting everywhere. Please join us. We're mostly active on Instagram. We're just starting to get active on TikTok. Facebook and YouTube. You can find all of our podcasts on YouTube and Spotify. We are pretty much anywhere there's a podcast platform, uh, from Apple to iHeart, Google, all of those. So you can find Back Talk by Successful Black Parenting, because apparently there's more Back Talks out there, but we are Back Talk by Successful Black Parenting magazine.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Janie. It's been a great time exploring on this show, really talking about supportive and interactive parenting. We had a great time. I know this topic of discussion is something that's the very core on the minds of the parenting, especially even the Black and the marginalized community. Not just in the US, even in the global world. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on today's show. Janice, sincerely from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the audience, we wish you best of luck in all of the projects that you embark upon now or in the future.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It's a pleasure and a delight to have you on the show once again, Janice. My name is Omobola Stephen. It's been lively to Omobola Stephen. We're focusing on parenting and family dynamics in the 21st century. And we had a great time having our Janice Robinson-Celeste have insight on this important topic of discussion for such a dynamic time that we are in. If you'd like to catch up with any missed episodes of the podcast, you can do so on any cross promotion platforms or any podcast distribution platforms you bump into online. Till I come your way, I need you always to stay safe. I talk to you soon. Thank you once again, Janice. We had a great
Thank
show.
you. Take care now.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe and leave us a review.